Okay, now in this video I want to talk about a quick controversial topic in regards to Bible prophecy. Now, there's been quite a few discussions based upon end time events. I just recently put up a video called I think it's 2011 Signs End of the World. I received quite a few comments talking about the nature of natural disasters. And something that keeps resounding throughout the comments is the fact that there's always been natural disasters, there's always been volcanoes, hurricanes, etc., 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 etc. Now, I just want to make one thing clear about that, because to a certain extent you are right, but there's one bit that we're missing out, and I hope to explain that in this quick video. Now, I'm going to just read the verses which talk about these natural disasters, and then we're going to look at some points which we can then understand in regards to why things were said in that way. Okay, so it's taken from Matthew chapter 24. I'm just going to pull this up on the screen. Alright, Matthew chapter 24, reading from verse 1. This is what it says. It says, "And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another, that shall not be thrown down. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world?" Okay, so just on the outset, it's pretty self-explanatory. The disciples wanted to know what's going to happen in the end of the world. And Jesus is about to explain what's going to happen from their point onto the end of the world. Now, this is continuing. This is what it says. The first thing Jesus said is this: "Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. And it says, See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Now it says, For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows." Now, we've seen some things labeled here. We've seen earthquakes, pestilence, famines. It's just describing it on the magnitude of how the world will be. So it's like the world will be in such chaos. We also see things mentioned as in nation shall rise against nation, wars and rumors of wars, and we're seeing that all these things we're seeing in our present day today. Now, people may say from this point, well, I mean, there's always been natural disasters, there's always been wars, etc. What does that have to do with anything? Now, this is what I want to bring up, because you are right, but this is something that has been underlooked. Let me think. It's taken from the verse in Matthew 24, is verse 8. It says, "All these are the beginning of sorrows." Now, what does that have to do with anything? This word, if you look in the Greek word for sorrows, it means, I'll just pull it up. The word sorrows means birth pangs. And the root word is birth pains. So, in other words, it's childbirth. Now, how the Bible describes it is by the fact that you look at the typical situation when it comes to birth pains. So when a woman's in a pregnancy stage, she has what's called contractions. As the contractions start to intense, some of them go from like 10 minutes apart, then it turns to 7 minutes apart, then 2 minutes apart. The more intense the contractions are, is the more evidence to know that the baby is coming very soon. Now, the fact of the matter is that when we see the intenseness of the intensity of famines, world disasters, wars, all these things, the more intense we see them is a high indication that Christ is coming very soon. So that's the point I wanted to bring up, because that's one of the main point that we miss out, and that point is that the fact that when we see these things start to increase, then we know that things are going to come to a close. So I just want to say to those people who, based upon those comments, I'm just making this video based upon those comments, because a lot of people have said that, okay, then there's always been earthquakes, there's always been floods, etc. So what's the difference? Like, why is that a sign when it's always been happening? The point is that when we see these things start to increase and grow in magnitude, then we know for certain that the end is near. Now, there's one other part, but I'm just going to leave this for now. When we're seeing these things increase, and we have seen ever since, I was talking to somebody yesterday. We was just having a conversation. She's about 71, and I asked her, what was it like in the 60s? Was it as bad as, was the natural disasters as bad as we see it today? And she was saying, no, definitely not. Today, she said, since the year 2000, she's seen such an increase of things, and I can admit that as well. So, as we're starting to see things increase, as we're starting to see world disasters increase, all these things, when we see them grow and grow and grow into such magnitude, we know for certain that the end times are coming. That's why when we see all these hurricanes, this year alone there was so much hurricanes, etc. I read there was an article in MSN News. It said that 2010 was when the world went crazy. If you want to have a look at that article, just please leave a comment, or you can email me and I'll send it to you. But that's how bad it is at the moment. But the good thing is that as we know these things are happening, we know that God is going to come soon and end everything. All this world of sin, all these natural disasters, every single bit of pain left, it will all come to an end, and that's something to look forward to. Okay, so I pray that this has caused some understanding and has opened your mind a little bit to know that it's not based upon the natural disasters themselves, it's just based upon the intensity of those disasters. And those intensities is what the Bible calls or describes as birth pains. So when we see the intensity of these natural disasters and these wars, etc., we know that the end is coming soon. So may these signs be an awakening call for us to get our lives right, to make sure that Christ is living in our hearts, that we may put away sin completely and live unto righteousness. So thank you, and may God bless us into his truth.